We are on the banks of Peace River, and Peace River flows from Charlotte Harbor. That was the entrance point for Hurricane Charlie. That's between Fort Myers and Tampa. About 100 miles, that's a long way for a Florida river, up to Green Swamp where it starts. Now, all the fossils that we'll talk about this evening are found all over Florida. You could dig anywhere and you'd find these things, but Peace River does the digging for you. And so it's a nice, wide, shallow, sandy river. And so you just canoe. It's very easy to canoe. You can sift the fossils out of the river. So you just have a box screen and a shovel, put some sand in the screen, shake it in the water, and then rake your hands through it. Once in a while, you'll hit something big or you'll trip over. I tripped over a whale vertebra about that big and found a stalk of a mammoth scapula about that big, stepped out of the canoe and stepped on it. It's about the only way I can find anything. And but now, as those of you know that hunt fossils in Colorado, it's hard work. You got to chisel those things out of rock, keep the rock chips from getting in your eye and things like it's work. But there you just sift them out. Here's Mary, my wife, sifting, along this screen there. She can do that. That bending over, like I get to go around and help people, encourage them, take them to Mary to identify the specimens. But she can bend over endlessly if there's fossils in there, and that's kind of fun. Nearby, you never know when you might find some larger bones. And so here, the guy down here is Frank Garcia, one of the world's leading amateur paleontologists, good standing with the Smithsonian. Look at it; those are bones. Those are bones of giant, quote, ice age mammals sticking out of the wall of a shell pit that's probably about 40 to 50 miles from our house, Lycee Shell Pit. And believe it or not, the shell pit operators, phosphate mines, are sympathetic to the fossil hunters. You hear in the news, they'll cover it up, and destroy it, so they don't have to stop the mining operation. They stopped. Of course, Frank stayed there day after day for a couple years, and this scoop goes through there. Hey, look. And when they saw it, they stopped and moved. Of course, the scoop is about as big as a church. And so, it costs a huge amount of money to move that to a different location, but they did, and they gave him, I think, a couple years to excavate here. And he found a giant ground sloth, I'll show you later, bigger than T-Rex. Several fairly complete skeletons, a whale that he put together. He's got it on sale. If you guys want to do a museum out here, it's $40,000. And you say, well, that's kind of high, isn't it? Well, it took him 2 years to piece all the pieces together. So that's not much of a salary, for 2 years' work. And it's, basically unique, real. It's not just a copy, it's a real thing. And so there's fabulous stuff there. And some of it very close by. And so this girl was at our house just the other day, although she's a young lady, signed up for the Navy, headed to Iraq right now. But when she and her dad were there on one of our fossil hunting canoe trips, they found the remains of a mammoth. So they were just after the canoe trip was over, and we were back at the campground, which is just half mile down the road. And there's just these sandy banks, and they're walking along the banks. And some people have this gift I don't have, of recognizing fossils, like just a little thing sticking out of the ground like that. It looked like a twig to me. I would have just thought it was a stick in the sand. But the dad has this knack. Okay, my wife has that knack. And he starts digging, and up comes this tusk about 4 feet, along the curve. And then they keep digging, and they find the jaw and the top of the skull and this femur. And when they found the femur, they realized that they'd found the bones of a baby mammoth, or at least a young one, not full grown, not a newborn baby. But he still had a lot of growing to do, although the size of the femur, related to femur size in modern elephants, would suggest he was already 12 feet high at the shoulder. Modern Asian zoo elephants only 9 feet, and even the Africans maybe only 12 or 14 feet, full grown. And this guy is still, how do I know this is a young one? Anybody know how I can tell this is not just a full-grown elephant? I got a tag on it, yeah. Yeah, hi, I'm only thousands of years old, not billions. And I was still a teenager when I got run over by... Oh, the way it has a tag, but not everybody recognizes it. See this little wiggly line right up here? Okay, well, yeah, just barely. I probably, if I took it out of that old folder, it'd show up a little better. But this is a growth plate or epiphyseal plate. It's a little line of cartilage, and there'll be another one down here at the ends of the long bone. You would have that, okay? And I don't have mine anymore. And as long as this is cartilage, the bones can keep getting longer and you're still growing. There's some guys back there with this epiphyseal plate. If you really want to know, you can pay the money, have some x-rays done and measurements and figure out how much more growing you have if you're trying to raise an NBA member in the family or something like that. And so that's how you can tell the difference between a young animal, regardless of the size. So this was still a young one with a lot of growing to do. This was a mammoth. Now this is, the classic mammoth drawing of the woolly mammoth. Now in Florida, the fur coats were left behind. And so Mary actually sent off the electron microscope lab that she might have found some mammoth hair. I told her it was a plant root. For a change, I was right. That doesn't happen that often.